The first one is theory. The second is engagement, and the third, which is very important, is assessment. Okay, so theory, engagement, assessment. The third one is assessment, and assessment usually happens. It has to be something which is continuous. It's not like giving a pop quiz, you know. So, for example, let's say, after 6 weeks of teaching in my classroom, I give a pop quiz. That is not assessment. So the assessment must be continuous. It could be in the form of reflective journals. Students are reflecting continuously from day one up to day two. So they are reflecting what they have learned today, what they have learned in week 2, week 3, and 4. So the continuous assessment or the formative assessment should be somehow integrated, because that integration is one source of data for our publication, which is based on the classroom uh, teaching and learning. Okay, so after the reflection, the other part is getting feedback. Getting feedback of what? Getting feedback of our lesson. All right. Sorry, our project that we have done, the teaching and learning project. So let's say I'm doing an e-portfolio. Okay, I'm doing an e-portfolio project with a group of students, and after 15 or 16 weeks in one semester, uh, they are during the semester they are continuously doing the reflection, but at the end of the semester there's one session whereby I'm asking their feedback. What did you learn? What was interesting about that project? What was beneficial? What are the limitations? What are the challenges? And all this information are necessary for two reasons. Number one, to add data for our publication, number one, and number two, to for us to learn from the students' input, and we learn from our mistakes, all right, and how we could improve maybe the following semester. Maybe because you see, at the end of the day, the students are the one who are going through that project, the teaching and learning project, whatever it is, right? And therefore, they would know, oh, this is challenging, this is useful to us, this is beneficial, this is not, and this does not work, and so forth. So we take their inputs and we take their information, the feedback, and we try to rectify it in our following semesters or in our future projects. Now, I've been doing this for the last maybe 15, 16 years, right? So because when I first started teaching in USM, which was in way back in 2004, was 16 years ago. So I've been doing this continuously. So every year I would try something new with my learners, and I would gather the data. I would compile the students' reflection, and then based on that, I would get their feedback, their input, whether it is in the form of Likert scale, quantitative data, or qualitative data. So I would have a lot of information, but the only problem with me is uh, it's very difficult to find the time, to analyze the data and publish. But I try my best. So there are many projects which I have published. Some of them are published in very good journal like TESOL Quarterly. I started that project way back in 2004 with one of my classes, tutorial classes. I looked at how students can reflect on reflections, and then I did it for one semester, and in 2007, it was published. So it took me like 3 years because, we all know TESOL Quarterly is a very difficult journal to publish in. So the requirement was very challenging and tough. So I had to undergo like 3 times review process. So that is just one example. So I try to do it continuously because to me, it is a personal journey. It's a personal journey to improve our academic scholarship. And by improving the scholarship of teaching and learning, hopefully it will lead to academic leadership, meaning to say um, we we have our philosophy, we have our expertise, we integrate our philosophy of education, our philosophy of teaching and learning, we integrate it with research, and we try to improve ourselves by implementing the research, learning from that research, at the same time improving students' overall development, and then we learn from their experiences, and then in the process we improve our own teaching and learning, and that is very important. Okay, so let me just recap. So what are the three things in when you are preparing? Is number one, the theory. Number two, ensuring the engagement of students. And how do you do that? You need to fall back on the theory. And number three, assessment. Okay, assessment and getting feedback from the students. So when you do all these three things, what it will do to your scholarship is that in terms of teaching and learning, you will see if you collect data, if you take into consideration a rigorous approach to research, and based on this rigorous approach, you collect data and you manage your data well, inshallah, you will be able to publish. Even the publication process may take some time, but the thing is, those publications are testament to your scholarship and leadership. So it is one way of improving your teaching and learning. Okay. All right. So if you just give me 1 minute, I'm going to share with you the documents. Huh? Just hang on for 1 minute. Dia ada conference tak situ. Share screen. Okay. Can you see this? Can you
Yes. Yes, we can see this.
Okay. Now this is the project that I was telling you about, which I did way back in 2004. It was published in 2007 in TESOL Quarterly. So um, this research is about English language. My students who were pre-service teachers, and um, they were reflecting on reflections. Okay, so the project was um, each of them after each tutorial session about their teaching their teaching experience and learning experience, they need to reflect. Uh, in 2004, we didn't have Facebook. Online, what do you call, technologies were still new at that time. So we had to do a manual sharing of reflections, meaning to say they will write their reflections on a piece of paper or book, and then they will exchange with others, meaning to say, let's say I'm student A, I write my experiences, I reflect on them, and then I share with student B. So I will read student B's reflection and student B will read my reflections. So for this study, so everyone had to read everyone's reflection. So, so I collected data, uh, and you can see that the data. This is so these are, for example, so this what you can see here is some of the reflections that the students wrote. What it means to them, how they did it in terms of teaching and learning. All right. So this is and I sort of like perfected this technique of reflecting or reflections, because in the review process, the reviewers gave a lot of input about reflecting on reflections. So in the process of me writing the article, I also learned new things, and therefore I was able to improve this technique with more activities, with better sharing, with Facebook coming in later on, right? So this is one example whereby um, it is a publication based on my teaching, but when I was planning for the teaching, I took into consideration the three elements: the theories, the engagement, and assessment. Okay, right. Okay, I'm going to share with you another article. I will send these articles to the organizers later. The organizers may share those articles, and you can read in detail. And in the process of you reading the articles, you will also find the details of how I integrated those teaching and learning, and how I gathered data, how I analyzed the data, and how I presented, and what it means to pedagogical implications, as well as improving future teaching and learning related to those particular areas. Okay, so quickly, let me share with you another one.
Professor, you have 5 minutes left. Sorry for the interruption.
All right, I hope you can see the article. Right, this is another one. This was published in 2016 in the Australasian Journal of Educational Technology, and the title is "Using Facebook as an e-portfolio in Enhancing Pre-Service Teachers' Professional Development." So maybe I'll give you 1 minute just to read the abstract, which is this one, so that you have an idea. Okay, all right. So what I did for this project was that I was training a group of pre-service teachers, including TESOL teachers, and the course was about using ICT. So I integrated Facebook, and this Facebook was transformed as an e-portfolio. All right, and the aim of that e-portfolio is to facilitate and develop my students' professional development. Okay, and and you can see here I use um, three sources of information: questionnaires, open-ended items, and reflective reports. So these things were planned and prepared way ahead before the teaching and learning began. So I did this with my university, with USM students, my university students, and before I engage my students in activities using the Facebook as the platform. So I developed the questionnaire, I prepared open-ended items, and I sort of like structured the guided reflections that the students need to do. And all of this were done in the Facebook environment. So as I said later, just now, I will email the two articles to the organizers, and maybe the organizers can share with the participants of this session. Okay, so in this article you can read what was the problem statement, the literature review, and I would like to highlight the theories. So this is on page in the section of the literature review. So you can see here in this paragraph, in this study, the notion of community of practice is integral. So this is where I mentioned to you just now, whereby I used a theory to integrate that particular theory, COP, community of practice, as a guiding principle for me to conduct the lessons, to engage the students for the assessment, as well as for their reflection. All right. So whatever the community of practice theory says, I took those elements and I integrated as part of the teaching and learning. Now, in publication of such of your practices, especially in terms of teaching and learning, the theory is critical, because one of the comments that the reviewers will give if you do not have a theory is, on what basis or on what grounds did you develop your teaching and learning activities? So that would be very problematic if you did not think. So if you had planned and thought about this prior to your sessions, to your teaching and learning, then things would be very easy, because you need to integrate the concept or the notions of a particular theory in various phases of your teaching and learning. The teaching and
Yeah,
learning,
Professor.
the engagement, the assessment, as well as giving the feedback. All right. So
Yeah,
once
Professor,
that
sorry to
is
interrupt
done,
you. Sorry to
how it
interrupt.
is done, then of course the method comes in and you explain. And in here I have the table uh, describing what are the activities that were done in each week, what were the researchers' role, myself, and what were the participants' role, which is the students. So later you can go through in detail. All right. And then, of course, the data collection methods, which was planned earlier, so that you know what you're collecting, you know what you're doing. All right. All right. So, and then just to share with you some of the data. So this data was more of quantitative and qualitative. So just like some of the students have posted in their reflection, and all these were done via Facebook. Yeah. So this is another
Professor, we are almost at the
the
end of this
students'
session.
views
So if you could
of
just conclude this. Thank you.
what do you call, students'
We're
views
almost
of
at the end of the
their
session.
experiences engaging in e-portfolio via Facebook, right? Secretariat, can I know how much time do I have left?
Your time is almost over. Just a few seconds, probably.
Okay. How much time do I have left?
Just 10 seconds, just to conclude. Maybe you can say a few words. I think we can.
5 minutes you have?
Okay, yes, sir. We can extend it if you deem it necessary. So, sir, 5 minutes maybe.
I can't hear. I can't hear.
Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, hold on. Maybe I need to.
Professor, to give a conclusion to your talk.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. 5 more minutes, huh? Not much time. This is one of the reasons why I didn't prepare a PowerPoint, because I know time is very short. So I would like to rather express myself. Okay. Anyway, so these are the two experiences, but actually I have many other experiences. There are also collaboration with other universities. There's one publication which I did where I collaborated with 3 different universities from 3 different parts of the country. One university from the north of Malaysia, one in the middle, and one in south. So obviously the students can't meet up, and discuss. So they had to do their discussion online. So that's really a collaborative effort, meaning to say the students. So what I did was a few of my students, a few of another university, and the third university, they were combined as one group. So they really have to work together from different universities because they are also being graded. For those, I can share you the article right now quickly if I can find it. Hold on. That is even more difficult because you need to make preparation, you need to make arrangements with lecturers from other universities. That is even more challenging. Hold on, yeah. Just be okay. So can you see the sharing?
Yes, we can see this.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, this is the new, this is the one, the article that I was doing. So I collaborated with Universiti Technology Malaysia and Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Universiti Technology is in the south, Universiti Kebangsaan is in KL, and USM is in Penang, in the north part. So it's an online collaboration of English language teachers for meaningful professional development. If I just highlight one of the, so for example, so UKM, they had 77 students, USM 31, and UTM 34. So each intergroup, we combined together. So they had like 13 to 16 teachers in one group. So this group consisted of students from different universities, and they were awarded marks and grades. So for this kind of project, it will take, like I said earlier, a lot more detailed planning because you're collaborating with different universities. Right now, I'm also collaborating with different departments, different faculties in my own university. So students from that Faculty of Arts and students from Faculty of Education, they're collaborating as one, and they are doing drama presentation and theater presentations. So my TESOL students, with the help of art student, performance art students, because the performance art students are developing, they are training my TESOL student to present the drama and theater, right? And my students are contributing in terms of writing the drama script. So real collaboration, and this kind of collaboration may take a lot of time, okay? So to conclude, I know I don't have much time. To conclude, it's very important to emphasize on those three things again: the theory, the engagement, and the assessment, including reflection. And for more larger project that involves different universities and different departments, then the element of planning, thorough planning comes in. Then with such, all the journals that I've shared with you, the three journals, all of them are indexed in SSCI, okay? So that shows you how, if you, and it's not only the publication that I've benefited, the fact that people are citing my work, so that gives me personal satisfaction and motivation to do other kinds of project and to share with others. So these are important in motivating you as an academic or as a teacher, one, as well as motivating others. Maybe there are teachers in Japan or Africa who needs advice how to do certain things. So they will also benefit. So while benefiting you, you are also benefiting others. Okay. So with that, I think my time is up. Thank you. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions.
Professor. Thank you so much, Professor, for your wonderful session. I'm sure we would love to hear more. And I'm looking at the comments here, and I mean, the audience is so much engaged in your talk, and they would definitely want to learn more from you. But unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. However, we will take some questions, but I would request the eager audience to keep it as short and simple as possible. So over to you, audience, if you have any questions for Professor Kabilan. If you have any questions, you can maybe take this time.
Just a question. It's like I was looking at the article, using Facebook for e-portfolio. I never thought of it like e-portfolio as Facebook. I did one, but that is on Google Sites.
Mm.
So maybe it's really interesting for professional development. Thank you for that. And as audience were actually asking for the links to your articles because they want to read it. Can you put the link?
I will. Okay, to whom shall I send that?
You can just put link here in the chat box.
In the chat box. Okay, no, because I think I have it in my PDF. So if I can email the secretariat, then the. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will email immediately after the session. And then the participants, I think, I don't know, maybe the secretary will email to all the participants. Okay, because I don't have their links.
Email ID, if you send me, we can just post it on TESOL BD Facebook page. So everyone will get access.
All right. Okay, no problem.
Can we upload it in Google Drive?
Excuse me, Dr. Kabilan, can I have a question?
Yes, sure, inshallah.
Oh, thank you for your presentation. I had a question. I mean, how is it possible to engage in a project when you have a large number of students in your class? I mean, what would be, suppose if I'm a teacher, what would be my strategies in a project?
Like for example, right now in currently my semester, in this semester, I have a class where I have like 90 students. Because in Malaysia, like in my university, USM, we have two modes of teaching. One is lecture mode and one is tutorial mode, right? So, but I'm not following either. So what I do is I come out with this project so that they are engaged. It's very difficult for me to engage with 90 students, you know. I only have 2 hours. Even if I spend 5 minutes with each student, I think I will only manage to spend meaningful time with, you know, maybe 40 of them. So it's very difficult, all right? So one way I try to engage them is through the use of ICT. And I did a lot of research in terms of Facebook, also WhatsApp and other social media, how we can integrate such social media, because you know these youngsters, they are also into those social media, so it is easier. So I try not to burden them. At the same time, I try to engage them meaningfully. So I create the Facebook groups. You can read in those articles how I did those things. Like the one whereby Facebook as e-portfolio, I actually had almost 90 students. So if I would want to interact, it would be difficult. So, but by using the Facebook, so whenever some student posted, I can still engage with them outside the lecture hall. You know, do it in my own time. Maybe before I go to sleep, I can read at least 4 or 5 posts from the students. So that is one way. So that is why I try to. What is important is engaging the students. You know, even if we as lecturers or teachers, we take the backstage without showing ourselves, as long as the students are learning, are engaging with the materials, the tasks, or even with themselves, that would be more meaningful than we trying to control the teaching and learning. Imagine 2 hours, how much can I teach? How much can I get? How many students can I get through in those 2 hours? It will be difficult. So this way, the students can learn at their own pace, at their own time, anywhere, at any time, how they want to learn. So they have a lot of time, freedom to express themselves and also to learn. So, so in addition to that, I also use WhatsApp. So I also create a WhatsApp group so they can ask me at any time. So these are the 2 platforms which help me to engage them. So hope that answers your question.
So it also depends on the freedom of the teacher, in fact.
Yes, exactly.
Am I right?
Yes.
And it is very challenging when you have a prescribed syllabus, prescribed teaching materials, prescribed even course outlines. It's very challenging.
That's why, I understand that. So that's why the scholarship is important, meaning to say the university must trust the lecturers, meaning to say the university must believe that the lecturers will carry out or achieve the objective of the learning. What is important is the objective of the learning. We cannot stick to the content, because let's say the content is current now, but 10 years from now, it may be obsolete. So we must give the freedom to create that content. For example, in Finland, whatever level it is, whether it's primary, secondary, or even university, they don't prescribe the content. They prescribe the objective and learning outcome. So it is up to the teachers and the lecturers to create the learning content. So that gives them freedom, that gives them the engagement. And that also, really, that means the teachers can use current issues, to motivate, to stimulate the students' thinking. So I think that is what, when we say we, means also in Malaysia, we also have some limitations in terms of that.
Oh, I think we have, yes, we have come to the end of the session.
Okay, thank you, Professor Kabilan, for your enlightening speech.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
I think we need to move on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Kamarul Kabilan, for such an informative talk. And thanks to Shihab Sakib for moderating the session. And now I would like to request S.M. Atikur Rahman to show the certificate for Dr. Kamarul Kabilan. Thank you.
Thank you very much.